My name is Chris Martin. I work in the financial services industry. I've been kind of everywhere. Worked for very small boutique hedge funds. I've worked at major Fortune 500 companies. I'm currently working for a very large financial services corporation right now. And I've done project management, product management. I've talked directly to clients. I've serviced accounts, talked about trading, investment strategies, investment brokerage. I've probably done it or been pretty close to it.
Interesting. I mean, that's a lot, actually. That's great.
It's
Well,
it's a
yeah,
ton.
yeah, yeah. And I've learned a lot from you since you actually joined the program. So shared a lot of your knowledge. And honestly, I think you're really good at taking super complex financial ideas and reducing them to something that's very understandable and digestible. So I appreciate that about you. Before you came to vertical motion, like what were some of the challenges and what were some of the obstacles that you were facing at that time that caused you to reach out to us and have a conversation?
It's interesting because I kept hitting this wall. So as I mentioned, I have spent a good part of my career in massive companies, and what I found was that I wasn't very good at office politics. In fact, I was actually very anti office politics, and I often felt like there was a language that I didn't understand. I would even go further and say there were a bunch of unspoken rules that it felt like other people understood that I did not. And I remember thinking many, many times, I'm capable. I have been able to handle myself well in any number of different places in the investment world. And yet I am stuck. I cannot move higher than a certain level, and it's taken me forever to do it. So the biggest challenge was feeling like I just didn't understand the secret game, if you want to call it that, to
Mm.
get ahead. Interestingly, I when I found vertical motion, I came across Tom on Instagram. There was just a reel that popped up, and he kept popping up, and it was almost like he was right, like inside my brain. I think I've said this before with on camera somewhere
Yeah.
with vertical motion, but it was almost like he understood exactly how I felt about like why I couldn't get ahead, and I really didn't hesitate much. I think I saw that and I was like, I'm just gonna send him a message, and I did, and here I am.
Yeah. It's been a while. You've been here.
Over a year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say that you're not alone in the experience of, like, watching, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on YouTube, and Tom sort of hitting the nail on the head with his messaging and what he's saying. I just think it's a lot of people feel that way, so
I believe that I think one of the biggest things, the surprises that I found is that every time somebody new comes in and they're introduced, or if I'm sitting in a call or if I'm talking to somebody else, I'm surprised how remarkably similar their stories are when we're
mhm.
talking about career progression, where it's just, I hear a lot of the same things. Like I don't understand this game that I'm supposed to play to get ahead. And I think it's refreshing that I came into the program and is pretty direct in saying that you can be authentic. In fact, it's probably better that you are authentically yourself because we need more leaders that are genuinely good people.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think that has been a big factor that's really just keeps me hanging around is because it's nice to know that it's attracting the right people and this community has become something that I can kind of trust in
Yeah.
professionally.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. We do seem to attract the same type of people, which I think the good thing about that is, and of course, I watch this every day, you guys are all having your own conversations. I just put a video together last night of all the meetups in all the different towns. I've never been with an organization where people that were in it, and I mean like a coaching practice where people intentionally have already formed relationships through Slack and email and phone and Zoom and whatever. And then when they are in those particular cities, they are actually like connecting with the other vertical motion members. So that is cool. But it is common not feeling like you can actually show up as your authentic self. And then I think that there is a lot of momentum and people gain a lot of traction by being around other like minded people that are feeling exactly the same way. Like, how do I show up as who I am and layer on the executive skills, the executive presence, and show up authentically as myself? So, yeah, really, really good point. And so, what would you say has been the outcome of your participation in vertical motion?
There is one that really sticks out to me, and it happened last year. I was consulting, and I was recruited by a former boss of mine to the company that I'm at. and she asked me to apply. Like I had to compete for the role, but I think at that point I was 3, 4 months in to the program. And so I'd gone through most of the core program, gone through the Ikigai exercises. And in that process and coming into weekly calls and having comms messages reinforced, what I found really interesting is that I went into the interviews for that new role with a completely different perspective. Before Vertical Motion, every new interview was just this like massive effort to try and study and memorize potential answers and experiences and things that I could like just have ready so that I could recite and, drop in the interview. What changed for me in coming to Vertical Motion is that before that interview, I took a different approach and I really sat down and just said on paper, I just put down, this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is my perspective. And this is how it applies to what I think this role is. Knowing that, I have a pretty solid foundation. As long as I'm thinking in those terms, any question they ask me, I can just go back and find instances where I was myself. And I can confidently say, this is what I bring to your role.
I remember that conversation that you and I had because we were kind of batting it back and forth. And it was exactly what
Right.
you said. In the past, I've really kind of, ticked every box. And am I prepared for that? Am I prepared? And then you just kind of said, you know what? I know the industry. I have enough experience and skills. I've created relationships. We're just going to have a
Yep.
conversation. And I'm just going to show up as
That's right.
Chris. Yeah. And
That's right.
it's your energy completely changed at that point, and it worked.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. That was the best few interviews I've ever had, ever,
That's
hands down. And I wasn't even remotely nervous. I had a really good foundation that I could rely upon for
it.
anything. It's great.
Out of curiosity, I don't think I've asked you this, but have you participated in other coaching programs in the past?
I did one, and this was probably, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago. And it was just a smaller, independent career coach type situation. It just didn't do anything for me. I mean, this person had some models and some questionnaires, and I found myself as I went through all of these questionnaires just thinking, I've done this stuff before in at work. I've done it in personality assessments, and I'm not getting any closer to a direction I'm comfortable with.
Mm.
It it feels like an exercise I'm doing for the sake of doing it. Well, so what I found here was, yes, there are the materials and we go through all these different topics, but I think the major strength of this is the community that's here. I mean, hands down.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. It is a real special group of people. And, not everybody is accepted to the program. It has to be a good fit. And so you guys kind of run things on your own in terms of your network and, stepping into a whole different network of people that are outside of your industry, but have really good contributions to make for each other. So I also believe that working in community instead of living in your head produces momentum a lot quicker than just doing something by yourself, kind of sitting in a silo at home. So yeah, we have a tremendous network here at Vertical Motion. So if there was somebody that you knew that was thinking about joining Vertical Motion, what would you say to them?
Well, it's kind of funny that you asked that. I caught one of Tom's reels on Instagram
Hmm.
because they show up at the top of my feed all the time.
Hmm.
It's they're always one of the first clips that I see when I open up Instagram.
Hmm.
And I looked down in the lower left-hand corner and I found that one of my connections
Oh,
also follows Tom.
oh, nice.
And it also happens that she reports directly to me. And so I didn't realize that she was also following Tom. And so I was having a meeting with her, a one-on-one, and I brought it up and I pointed her to one of the reels where one of my wins was leading off the carousel. And said,
Mhm.
"Hey, just pause this thing and read it." She's like, "What am I looking at?" And I was like, "Look at the picture and the name." And she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're a part of this." And I was like, "Yeah, I thought maybe you saw this through being connected to me." And she goes, "No, actually," she says, I'm debating whether or not I need to go get an MBA
Mhm.
or invest in this type of coaching." So what I told her was, I have an MBA and I'm also invested in Vertical Motion, invested in the coaching. And I'm not sure that an MBA is what it used to be. And I'm not sure that it'll give you the same boost at the end of it. And I think that you could probably learn a lot of the stuff that you learn in an MBA on the way. My experience at Vertical Motion has been fantastic. I'm here in this job because of Vertical Motion and because of the things that I've learned there. And I went on to tell her, various things about the positive parts of the course. And I told her the community is outstanding. You will find people to network with if you join. And I said, so in my mind, that's the more valuable investment because you get a better ROI. Whereas maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know if it would have been the same. I just think we're in a different environment.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I'm hearing a lot about that too. I will say, it's a personal decision, but I do agree with you. It's not what it used to be. And I'm also obviously, right? I'm a coach here. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of talking to somebody who can shortcut you. Just let me know what I don't know. Don't
Yep.
make me take hours of classes and sit for lectures and whatever. Just give me the answer. Shortcut me to what I need to do. And I will say that the great thing too, obviously if you're going to invest in a coaching program, you should be coachable. And everybody in the program is very much that. So it's
Yeah.
been delightful. It's really delightful to work with all of you guys and watch the transformation and watch the growth and watch the successes and not only business successes, but even on a personal level. There's a lot of aha moments that have happened for people that have translated over into their personal lives. So that's also very exciting to see. How was the mastermind for you in Denver?
I'm of two minds, and not because of anything that the mastermind was. Actually, I found the mastermind to be incredibly valuable
Mm.
because up until then we had only been meeting remotely, and so it was nice to meet Tom in person. It was nice to meet some of these other folks in person that I had only seen on Zoom. Admittedly, I was only a couple months in, and I think I mentioned this earlier, transitioning from Washington to Denver, because it was a longer, more drawn out process than we expected. I found myself being a little distracted during a few of the sessions.
Mm.
Nonetheless, I very much believe in the value of getting uncomfortable in front of people. And so when we were able to stand in front of a live audience and pitch ourselves or just talk about, some people were just talking about anything, but talk with purpose in front of a group of people, I think that, let me put it this way, I do that to my people that report to me. I try and put them in positions where they have to stand in front of each other, run meetings for us, guide a group of people to an end point within a certain period of time, and try and help them understand the dynamics of getting in front of people and leading them. Because that's what it is. You're just influencing people by talking, and you have to be able to speak in a way that is coherent direction.
Mhm.
And so I really, really enjoyed that about the mastermind.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. It was because of the foundational assessments that you guys take. We know the extroverts in the room, we know the introverts in the room, and I will say that every introvert that I've talked to, although it was, for some it was kind of a stretch. It was outside of their comfort zone. Everybody enjoyed it because I feel like everybody got to demonstrate their leadership ability, their capability around everything you just said, like getting up in front of a group of people, talking about, kind of their own personal story, which was great. So I feel like it was a win for everybody in the room,
Was.
supported by everybody else. It was a very
Yeah.
safe place, I guess.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Tend to straddle this line between introversion and extroversion.
Mm.
And I know that weekend I was definitely in my own head. And so it was really took a lot of effort to get out of it and get in there and participate and do all that stuff. But I know for sure that that environment felt really safe to do that. I
Yeah.
did notice that across the board, even when we were sitting in the room, I just remember thinking, yeah, I'm a little nervous about speaking in front of people, but it also doesn't seem like I don't feel like I'm unnecessarily holding back either. And it doesn't seem like anybody else is, which is really nice.
Yeah, yeah. And you certainly didn't present as nervous. You always present as really calm, which I think puts a different energy into the room. So, yeah,
Well, that's
unless you,
nice. That's good.
yeah,
It's good to
unless you,
know because inside it's a mess.
yeah, unless you would have told me that, I would have never known. But I do feel like you show up as yourself, and that puts people at ease. So you've got that going
Good.
for you.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Well, thank you, Chris. I mean, it was good to talk to you. Thanks for the feedback. I do have to ask you, have you directed your friend towards the book?
Oh my gosh, I have not. And I posted out on LinkedIn, but I'm glad that you reminded me. I'm glad that you reminded me because I actually did have that the other day as a thought. is to present it.
That might help. That'll get her into the meat of the program. And actually, we are recommending that people read the book if they can prior to coming to vertical
Hmm.
motion. I think it gives them a stronger foundation of what we are and how we get people to that next level in their career, in their executive presence. So yeah, if she can
Yeah,
read the executive career handbook, I think yeah, that might move her along.
I will definitely actually do that as a takeaway, as I should have written it down that day and I didn't. I forgot, so I'm going to. Of
Thank you, Chris. Always good to
course.
see you. Always good to talk to you. All
All
right.
right.
Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you.